So let's talk about portraits. I've looked at a lot of different portraits from a lot of different artists, and especially older artists, John Singer Sargent, plenty of other artists back in that time era. And I'm even using my own hand and my own skin tone as a reference for this. And I'm just going to start mixing up some color here. So I'm just going to try to match some of these tones that are on my hand. And there's a lot of different oranges, reds, yellows, little greens and blues. And there's just a lot of different colors with skin tones and portraits. In shadow, there's going to be even more tones. And really, with any limited palette, you're going to be able to mix these because they're very neutral. They're not saturated colors. So let's start out with an orange, because that's kind of closest to what a skin tone is. But we can see the difference here, that there's a huge difference, that it's not this bright orange. So we have to neutralize this orange. And it doesn't really matter when it comes to mixing colors. There's not a right or wrong way to mix colors. There's just different ways to get there. I can use burnt umber if I want and brown it down, or I can just jump into blue here, ultramarine blue. And this will, as you can see, turn it green. Now, why did that happen? Well, we mixed up an orange that was mostly yellow, and blue and yellow make green. So in order to get this green, obviously it's not the color of my skin, so to get this green back to kind of the color of my skin, I'm going to have to add red to neutralize the green. So this is going to brown the green down. So now we're starting to get to a neutral tone. And obviously you can see that the color is much darker in value than the light of my skin tone. So one of the first things you want to do is get that correct, get that value correct. So we're going to have to add white to it to really get the value correct. And as you can see already, it's getting somewhere. It's getting really close. And all I did was mix yellow, red, and blue in a certain amount. You have to treat skin tones or anything you're painting, no matter what it is, you have to treat it like any other color. I'm treating this skin tone just as I would treat a bush outside, or a tree, or a branch, or a tree trunk, or a glass, or a vase. It's just mixing up color to the right tone, the right temperature, the right value. So we're getting close to my skin tone, and the color is very gray. Looks like I need to warm it up a little bit, and it depends on what tone I'm actually going for on my skin. My skin overall kind of has this pink tinge to it, so add more red to it to pinken it up. And I would say we're getting really close there. I mean, that's almost my skin tone. You know, and there's going to be variations to that. There's going to be areas where it's lighter, so you add more white. There's going to be places where it's more yellow, so you add more yellow. So you can start to see the little, not really value shifts, but temperature shifts and tonal shifts. There's going to be areas where it's cooler. Something like that. So really subtle shifts in temperature. And everybody's skin tone is different. Some people have dark skin tones, some have really tan skin tone, so you'd use more browns. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You know, this could be kind of a darker type of skin tone. And it's just thinking in terms of color and the temperature. So does this color, does it need to be more red? Does it need to be more yellow, more blue, more green, more orange, etc.? And if it does, you just bend it a certain way you need to. So now I just reddened up that color. You know, it doesn't need to be lighter in value. If it does, you just whiten it up. Okay, now it's too pink, so I need to orange it up. You know, there's just all the, it's so simple. It's very simple when it comes to skin tones. But the thing you have to watch out for are the value. First and foremost, the value. Because if the value off, it's just not going to read correctly. Any painting, no matter if it's a portrait or what the case may be. So you want to look out for the value, which is the lightness or the darkness of it, and then the temperature. So as you can see here, this is kind of a very warm pool of color right here. And as things get toward the shadow on a face, for the most part, you know, it depends all on the lighting as well. So let's say this is the light of a skin tone, very warm type of color. And then as it moves toward the shadow, depending on the light and where you're at, it could be a warm, really warm shadow. So we'll get some burnt umber, a little touch of blue. And let's try to get something really dark in value and warm. Dark and really warm. So there's a light, there's a shadow, but what you'll find that happens is that there's going to be reflected light. So understanding the type of light you're painting as well, and seeing all the different types of light on a person's face or on their skin, and depending on the environment you're in, it's going to change. If you're outside, you'll see a lot of cooler reflected light, a lot of blues, greens, and what you'll see is as this transitions from a very hot and very warm, dark, deep shadow and a light skin tone, you're going to see a cooler type of reflected light. Could even be green in between these two as it kind of transitions, but it's very, very subtle, very subtle. But there's going to be some reflected light in there, reflected lights. There's highlights, midtones, shadows, reflected lights, and dark accents. So you want to pay attention to all of these as you're painting. You know, a dark accent's going to be the darkest thing on the whole entire painting, basically. And probably the warmest thing. Usually dark accents tend to lean toward the warms. So something like that, just a range of darks, cooling off, getting back into the warm lights. So these range of different variations of things going on in the light. There's going to be warmer areas and probably not that strong a yellow. So you have to tone that down with purple, red and blue. There you go. Instant skin tone, different ranges. There's all different skin tones. So basically, it's just the value, color, temperature, and knowing what kind of light you're painting. Those are going to be the important things. And these subtle varieties of yellows, of warm colors, of oranges, you know, which one of these is more like, you know, the skin tone you're creating. And just keep bending that color to where you need it to be. You know, cooling it off if you need to, or warming it up, warming it back up, lightening it back up, or darkening it. I mean, it's endless. If you feel that it starts to get, you know, too messy, you just start somewhere else, start new. Wipe off your brush and get some new color and try again. So that's what it comes down to, mixing portraits. You can see, I mean, that would be a whole range in a portrait, basically. I mean, these are all the types of colors you're going to use. There could be purples in there, blue greens, you know, anything around the person. It's going to be reflecting. One thing you can do, and probably the best thing to do, and I'm going to start doing this here shortly. I'm just waiting on some panels to come in the mail, but get a family member or a friend to pose as a model for you, and you can go outside wherever you want to do it, wherever they're comfortable and wherever you'd like to paint them. Get a small panel painting, a canvas panel. It could be, this size. It could be a little smaller. It could be a 6x8. And basically, especially when you're outside, do this. Capture a value and color study. And what I mean by that is disregard the drawing on it. Don't try to get too accurate with the drawing, but try to really paint quickly, because if you're outside, the light's going to change. If you're inside, it's not that big of a deal. But study the value. So first of all, get the value and the color correct. Is it darker, is it lighter? So you want to get the value correct first of all, and then if it needs to be lightened up, you lighten it up. And then get the temperature. Is it more red, yellow, blue, green? Get the hue and the temperature as close as you can. Cool it off, and just do a quick study of their face or of a person, and then once you achieve that small study and you're happy with it, you can use it for a larger painting and get the drawing correct, and use that as a guideline to take some photo references as well. But the reason for doing the study is that your eye is going to be able to pick up more than the camera in terms of reflected lights, temperature shifts, and subtle nuances and things like that. So anyway, just a little tip there. And I'm going to start doing that here soon, and hopefully I can shed some more light on this situation. But when it comes to color mixing, I mean, it's all just these muddy colors for skin tones. It's just going to be these tans, browns, depending on what color skin tone you're creating. And, it's just a range of this. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. And, just do your best. Start creating studies. Do as many studies from life as you can. That is the best thing you can do. I started doing that with still lifes, and that is the best thing that I've ever done, is paint from life and learn to accurately mix color to depict the thing that I'm painting. So anyway, thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Peace, my friends.